Hello, welcome to SquishiVision, where I'm about to give my thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3, which I just watched, so it's my immediate reaction, having no chance to really kind of nitpick or go into details to know what this is about. It's kind of my immediate reactions. Okay, well, this is a relatively big story in that Darth Vader is in it quite prominently, actually. So he returns. Well, I don't know. I'm a bit taken back actually. Okay, so we see Vader return and get suited up in quite a nice scene, and then talk to Reva. Apparently, confirmed the Grand Inquisitor is dead, which continues to ask more questions about kind of how this fits into the continuity of Rebels. Presumably they haven't forgotten about that, right? I mean, then why? Because why bring back a character from that show if you're gonna kill them off? You know what I mean? When they're not meant to die, it's a bit odd. But anyway, we can ignore it for now because otherwise there's too many things going on here. And he talks to Raven and gives her his blessing to continue hunting Kenobi. And then once they've confirmed where Kenobi is, we get what is actually quite a terrifying scene of Vader walking through the town, torturing people at seemingly random, and like trying to sense where Kenobi is, and like having these really like kind of tense moments. Honestly, it's terrifying. It is quite. It was a really. I'm glad that part was in it. I think that was a useful use of Vader. When I did my reactions and my kind of preamble towards this show, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about them meeting, and honestly, I need to take a moment now just to kind of remember what kind of there was the insinuation and thematic kind of feeling when they met each other. But clearly a long time has passed when Vader and Kenobi met each other, what would now be 9 years later, and before it would have been 19 years. So, and I was feeling Vader assumed Kenobi was probably not necessarily. At that point, he's clearly like not really considered Kenobi to be someone he had to kind of encounter. So this is like past that midway point. Like they've not seen each other for like at this point 10 years, I think. Like it would have been 10 years since they last saw each other. And Kenobi thought Vader was dead. Vader presumably knew Kenobi was alive. I guess it doesn't really change the impact, but it kind of, I guess, halves it in a sense. I mean, much like Count Dooku's line about, or at least, Skywalker's line about how last time we met, my powers are now twice as much, and then Dooku's like, great, twice the pride, double the fall. That line, and then you watch the Clone Wars and they actually kind of duel each other quite often. It's not actually been that long. It kind of, diminishes that line, although it technically isn't correct. So I guess it's kind of the same thing here. So now I have to ask, was their encounter kind of worth halving the impact of that line? And I'm not convinced that it was. I mean, it was a fairly... I mean, I'm reading Gizmodo's review here, and it kind of describes it as underrated, and I kind of think that's probably how I describe it as well. I mean, it wasn't really a duel. Kenobi was... Okay, so Kenobi was clearly, like, struggling. Compared to, like, the previous duel where they were match to match. This is him basically having... Basically, he loses this duel. And I don't know how I feel about either. I mean, we're meant to be... I get we're meant to be portraying Kenobi as having disconnected from the Force and being quite weak and, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. I just feel that then... With the way they did it, it made it... Vader seemed too OP to the extent where Kenobi didn't look like he was struggling, but just barely hanging on. He looked like he was pretty much being toyed around with, essentially. Like Vader could have easily killed him, kind of thing. Not that Kenobi was just barely defending himself. Does that make sense? And so. And it's kind of like when it kind of makes Vader look a bit incompetent. They didn't actually kill him at that point. And it also makes that line, last time we met, I was but the apprentice, now I'm the master. Kind of then doesn't really work anymore. I don't know. I think it would have been better. It feels like we've got like Gizmodo says, because I'm seeing a lot of their reviews at this point. We got too much too soon. We're halfway through the series, and we got a lot of Vader in this episode, and it kind of feels like I kind of feel like they could have balanced it out a bit more, or like not had the duel so early, had it so you had a bit of Vader stalks Kenobi, and maybe even sees Kenobi like a glimpse and confirms, and they confirm to each other that they know each other's alive, and then leave it there. That is how I would have played it, and I don't know thematically how this plays out. I'm not. It makes me see what everyone else thinks. Both, you know, the few people who are able to kind of review Star Wars rationally, and then there were those who are like the extreme kind of opinions on it. I also kind of think it's funny how like Kenobi, this master Jedi who's basically been at war and been a spy during the Clone Wars because he had to go undercover a whole bunch of times. Just pure desperation of having to deal with a child calls Leia, which is a fake name, and then someone gets out of it. I guess the implication here is that he's not used mind tricks. I expect a mind trick to be in place, but he's been fairly kind of Force-liked. Zach Braff's in this episode. Didn't realise. I feel like I might have recognised his voice, especially because I think I've also not heard Zach Braff's voice in a while. I guess I think also if I'm not expecting to hear Zach Braff's, I'm not expecting a voice to be Zach Braff's, even if I hear Zach Braff's voice is so like purposefully comical and clowny that I assume it's just anyone doing like Zach Braff is like the epitome of comical clowny voice. So I assume anyone doing that kind of voice is just doing that voice, and I don't assume it's Zach Braff being Zach Braff. So but then I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, oh, that's who Zach Braff was. I think it was a decent role for Zach Braff. I guess I do like the fact how he's like super competent dealing with the clone troopers. Like he was able to like basically like completely utterly like just pwn them all, and it was Darth Vader he struggled with. That I guess is fine. Yeah, I think I don't know. It's a good episode. I'm just struggling with the whole Vader appearance. Because I feel like I'm not a smooth person who's like, oh, don't do anything that can even vaguely step on old, you know, continuity. Don't like try things. Don't bring back old things. I'm not. I'm as much of a nostalgia, panda loving. I love being panda too by like nostalgia stuff and like old stuff. But I feel like there's a balance to be taken where they didn't really do. I feel like, yeah, I just feel like we got too much Kenobi, too much Vader too soon. I just don't know how it. I don't know if it kind of. I'm not thinking continuity. I'm not thinking in terms of narratively. I'm thinking thematically. I don't see how this thematically does anything but undermine what happens in The New Hope. I feel it'd be better if they. I feel it'd be fine if they saw each other from a distance. The fact that they dueled, that they had the ability to kind of cross blades. I think if they didn't do that, I would have been happier. I don't know. I needed to sell in. It's also halfway through. And I don't know where the series is going next. Also, like, I get why he wanted to go face Darth Vader when he felt the need to. And I guess I can see how Anakin's his weak point. But also, you kind of just left Leia like screwed over quite considerably here. Considering the person you gave her, you entrusted her to. Also made the same mistake of being like, well, I guess I go back to save Kenobi. Like, come on, people, really? Visually, this episode was kind of great. There was a lot of kind of like. Oh, also, while I'm talking about Vader, I think it's hilarious they made a massive deal about getting Kristen Hayden back. Hayden Christensen back, and he's basically just no, okay, sorry, no, I take that back. That's unfair. I'm not gonna justice because that then implies that David Prowse's physicality was like, or the person who replaced him in the new films. That's like, you know, they were actors. It is acting. But I also wonder why they got him back and not, like, you know, the actor who played him in like the later films, like I think Rogue One, you know, the physical actor there. Because we see a vision of Anakin that Obi-Wan kind of imagines in the desert, with like kind of actual Anakin before he gets burnt and stuff. So that makes sense. I guess you just find the pay slip and get him to do all the voice stuff and then all the physical stuff. But I mean, also, how else were they going to do it? Obviously, James L. Jones was always going to come and do the voice again, because it was never going to be, you know, Hayden Christensen doing the voice. So it was always going to be James L. Jones. It's just interesting, I guess. But I guess he also does the body performance in Revenge of the Sith. So I just think I'm just amused a bit by it. I do like some of the dialogue between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia. I do like the whole. Also, it's interesting that Leia knew from a young age that she was an orphan and she was adopted. I guess there's nothing in the original trilogy that implied that she thought the organs were her parents, but I guess there's nothing that implicitly said that she knew that they weren't. I mean, she was very upset that they died, but I guess she got over it pretty quickly, actually. I guess that she does know in Return of the Jedi that they're not her real parents. So I guess it does fit, actually. Maybe clarifies what it doesn't. I do like the kind of references to Padme. Yeah, I just need that whole Vader thing to settle in. Because also I think even if that wasn't the case, I don't know, I just feel this whole fight was very kind of just like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's not. This isn't me. I'm trying not to be like, oh, toxic, you know, masculinity. I want Kenobi to be a buff, like super soldier kind of guy. Like, he can be like weak and vulnerable. I just don't know what it kind of. I just think I don't know. I just think it was executed in kind of the wrong way. I don't know. I'm struggling here. Let me know what you think if you watch this in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm leaning to the degree with Gizmodo that it was too much Vader too soon. I'm trying to. It's hard to do this degree of media analysis on the spot when you've just watched an episode. I think I need to let it settle a bit more. It's not like my immediate reaction that I had to like Rise of Skywalker, where I was like, well, the whole Return of Palpatine undermines Return of Jedi because thematically he needed him coming back just ruins the whole bunch of that stuff. Like here, it's kind of like more, I don't know. I guess it's the same as the Dooku Skywalker thing. It just kind of halves it, the impact. I feel like it would have been a nice balance if they saw each other from a distance and very briefly. But those are my kind of thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. I guess I'm gonna react to the Pinocchio trailer because I've got everything set up for it. Might as well, you know. And then I guess lie down for a bit, do some random stuff. I don't know what I'm telling you about my life. You don't care. Cheers for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys when I next see you. I guess I keep making these on Wednesday when they're released, and then I don't, and because I have things going on. But maybe next Wednesday. You'll see. Alright. Bye.